a second. Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I'm Jay Lee, the founder of Sales Ninja, and as a former banker, introvert, pastor, and high-ticket sales ninja, I now help grow and scale businesses without the need for pushy tactics, and that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach from the Bible, 1 Peter 3:15, built on trust, service, and real connection. My mission is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so you can sell more to give more. Today's guest is someone who understands the performance at a deep, practical level. He is a former Division I golfer who didn't just chase marginal gains. He studied how people actually learn, why most athletes stall, and what happens when you focus on the right skills in the right order. Over the years, he's turned that thinking into a fast-growing coaching and training platform that's helped golfers improve faster without burning out or guessing their way through progress. His work sits at the intersection of performance, technology, and entrepreneurship, and is rooted in one core belief: potential is not random, it's built intentionally. I'm excited to welcome the founder and CEO of Performance Golf. Welcome, Brixton Albert, to the show.
Jay, awesome to be here, and loved hearing a little bit more about you. You've got a heck of a diverse background yourself, so looking forward to chatting with you today.
Likewise. So let's get right in, because I know time is money and success loves speed. So take us back, Brixton, to your D1 golf days. Like what did competitive golf teach you that you didn't fully appreciate maybe today?
I grew up, I watched Tiger Woods win the Masters in 1997. I was 10 years old. I saw that and I got hooked on golf. And I decided in that moment, I want to get really good at golf. So my dad would drop me off at the golf course on his way to work. At 6:30 in the morning, he would pick me up at 4, and I didn't want to leave. Like, my parents had to pry me off the golf course. So golf was just a huge focus of mine as a kid. I wanted to play professionally. I wanted to get a Division I scholarship. I ended up getting a Division I golf scholarship, and realized really quickly, once you get to that level, everyone's really good and it's super competitive. So my whole life growing up was about trying to get as good as I could at golf. And kind of working through, the highs and the lows, and just constantly trying to level up.
Okay, first of all, 6 to 4, that's unheard of. Like, is this summer? Like, you don't have school? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I was waking up early. Every other kid was sleeping in. I would get to the course. My dad would drop me off, and I would play with 3 random adults every day. So every single day I would meet 3 adults. I'm this 11, 12, 13-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid, and I'm playing with 60, 70-year-olds. So it kind of taught me how to socialize with folks, that age, which was interesting. But then after I was done playing, I was out there practicing for 5 more hours. So I was just very driven. There were a lot of other parents and kids that were like, why do your parents push you? And my parents literally were the opposite. My parents had to say to me, chill out. You've gone 28 straight days. You're not allowed to go today. But I was just, obsessed with trying to get better at golf and really kind of in everything that I did, when I was younger.
So what kind of background do you have? Like, some people say, like I have a friend that would play all these different sports, but his dad beat him to forcing him to learn this stuff. And at the age of 20, his body was broken like a 70-year-old. You didn't have any of those things. Where's the drive coming from?
I think one of the greatest compliments I could give to my parents, and I said this to my grandfather when he passed away a couple of years ago on his deathbed, I said, thank you for teaching my dad what a work ethic was before I knew what a work ethic meant. So my grandpa, he worked 18-hour days. My dad worked 3 jobs from 12 to 60. So they were hard workers. And I think I learned that before I knew what a work ethic meant. But along the way, I also observed, hey, there maybe is a smarter way to do it. They would do it through brute force hard work. So I said, hey, let's work hard, but let's also try to work smart. So I'm just grateful for my parents maybe passing that along. But I just loved it. I mean, I always, whenever I did something in life, I always started out really slow. Like, I was always a late bloomer. Like, I had a speech impediment when I was younger. Whenever I started playing a sport, I was always like the worst. But I had this vision early on of like, how can I go from being so bad, that kid that's overlooked, to like in a year from now, people are like, wait, where'd you come from? How'd you get so good? So I always kind of obsessed over how do you make a breakthrough? And that was always something I was really passionate about, just studying people that made breakthroughs and trying to figure out how I could make my own breakthroughs as a slow starter that had these bigger aspirations, if that makes sense.
It does. So when you're 11 to 15 and you're putting these crazy amount of hours, like, I
Yeah.
mean, I love golf, but like, it's like, don't you get, how did you learn? Like, did you not get blisters and you were like, I'm
Wow.
good for today, but tomorrow I'm done? Like, how do you do?
I loved it. I think there's something to be said in life about someone that loves something versus someone that likes something. Like, why was Tom Brady so good at football? Tom Brady loved ball. Like, he loved to practice. Some other guys are maybe out there going through the motions. And when you love something, I think you can kind of multiply how you get good at it because you're out there just working at it because you want to be there. A lot of other kids were out doing other things. There was no place I wanted to be outside of on the golf course. That's where I wanted to be. Everyone else was like, I can't wait for college. And I'm thinking like, wait a second. I'm exactly where I want to be now. I'm trying to get good at this game. There's nowhere else I would want to be. So it kind of made it easy for me to want to practice. And I just loved it. Now, I would say at this part of my life, I don't love golf as much. I don't want to play golf 10 hours a day. I got a lot of other responsibilities. But as a kid, I really did love it. And that really helped me, get a little bit better at the game.
What was the earliest, when you talk about startup challenges and scaling strategies, what was the earliest version of performance golf? Like, was it like something on a napkin? Was it something that you had in your mind as a kid? Where did it all start?
Well, as a sales ninja, I graduated college, and I, wasn't quite good enough to play professionally. Had a nice amateur golf career, won some golf tournaments and stuff like that. But I got into sales for 10 years where basically I worked in software sales and I would consult with CEOs and, C-suite teams of $100 million companies and show them how to make a lot of money through their digital marketing. So I did that for a number of years and I was terrible at it at first, but I worked my butt off. I really got good at consultative sales. Happy to chat more about that if that kind of applies to your concept at all.
Sure. Yeah.
But then a couple years into that role, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see how digital marketing works. I'm starting to see how these companies can make a lot of money based on my recommendations. I also love golf. I don't want to work a sales job forever. Let's start this side business. So basically, I went 5 years working 100-hour weeks, juggling two different things. Full-time sales job, where I performed very, very well. I was like the top performer every year. And I also built this golf business, and I just had two computers, and all day I'm going back and forth from 5:30 in the morning to 10 at night as I was building the golf business. So at first it was a lot of work. I mean, there wasn't any time to do anything else. So that's kind of how it started initially.
And what mistakes did you make early on that shaped how you, build, grow, and scale, businesses now?
Biggest mistake I made early on was I had this idea to start the golf business, Jay, and I sat on it for 3 years. I sat on it. And I sat on it because I was trying to perfect the business plan. And I talked to a lot of people that they want to start something, they're thinking about it and they're like, I'm working on my business plan. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, you're overthinking it. In my head, I'm thinking that. I don't always say that. So I thought I had to get this business plan perfectly flushed out. But what I realized is that the most successful people in life, they start something when they're 40% ready. Most people wait till they have it all perfect. And then too much time has passed and other people just come in and they're going to take over. So I would say I waited a few years, but then I finally had this aha moment where like my personal why kicked in, why I should do this. And the next day I started. So I would say one of my first mistakes was hesitating. When you think you should do something, the early bird gets the worm, man. You got to jump right in and realize if you just jump in right away, you're going to immediately separate yourself from 99% of the people. So I would say pausing for 3 years was maybe one of the first mistakes, but then I eventually did get started and got some momentum, which was pretty nice.
Amazing. Just want to acknowledge the people who are listening and probably going to be asking questions. Bishop David Stewart says, good stuff. Sharky Liu, a friend of mine who owns a great business, he says, don't sit on ideas and don't overthink. When you think about growing and scaling an empire and I think you said something like you didn't even have a proper desk or, for 10 years and you lived, I guess some would call it frugally, some maybe people call it cheap, as they're getting along in business and getting new cars and stuff like that. How did you feel like in that time where you're just grinding and everyone's kind of like feeling like they're getting ahead?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in delayed gratification, dig your well before you're thirsty type of deal. So I like to approach everything like my back's against the wall. So my whole life, ever since I was a kid, again, think of where I came from. I was starting at the bottom and I was trying to get in front of these people that were like way ahead of me. So I just took the mentality every day of my back's against the wall. I'm behind and I'm going to track you down. And it was kind of that, it was kind of that same approach with my business when I first started. I was like, hey, I'm going to be relentless, because I realized in life, like, you don't get momentum a lot in life. Okay. And I learned this kind of in my sales career where, I would see some sales reps, they would get a few deals they thought they might close. And I would watch them get all excited, and they would kind of start to rest on their laurels. And I realized, like, what made Tiger so great. When Tiger got ahead of you, or he got a little momentum, he went for the jugular. So I learned in my sales career, when you got 6 deals in the hopper, your mindset immediately needs to be, forget 6, I'm going to get 30 deals. So my mindset when I was building the business was, I'm starting to get some momentum, but I'm going to grind. Like, I need to climb to Everest. I'm going to push as hard as I can for as long as I can, because I want to get to that momentum point, that inflection point, because then that's when things get easier. But a lot of people aren't willing to push hard enough to get to that top of the mountain where you start to go downhill. So it was really just a mindset thing for me of getting momentum is hard. When you start to get it, that's when you really, let's go. Like, you really treat it like your back's against the wall and you're in dead last.
I love that. I mean, that mindset a winning mindset is incredible. When you're building your performance golf and you're trying to figure out, an online academy or physical products, and you're at that time when you're struggling, you're not getting traction, you're not getting deals, you're not getting sales.
Yeah.
How do you know, are you just testing and experimenting different offers and different, products? And how do you figure out the hybrid between online in terms of academy software versus physical products? Those are very different things.
Yeah. Well, I really started initially with one thing. It's like we started with digital products. And, I don't know if I told this story, but the first year I had a business partner, the relationship didn't work. So I went a full year building a business, didn't work. I had to restart. The next year I found another golf pro, went another full year working with him, then he passed away.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine like running a marathon, right? And you get to the 25th mile and they go, hey, you got to go back to mile 4. And then you go back to mile 4, and you get to the 25th mile again, and you say, whoa, you forgot something on mile 2.
Oh my God, that's so painful.
So, it was difficult to experience that the first 2 years, but it showed me there was a market in the golf space. But then, I got a little bit of growth going, Jay. And then I hit this stretch where the business it stagnated for 16 straight months.
What?
No growth. We were
What?
stuck, right? And the problem in that stretch was I was working on a lot, and I had to really simplify. And I met a guy that's a really successful kind of famous marketer, and he got me focused on one thing. And I just implemented that. Then the business doubled 7 months in a row. But I think the takeaway is you often need to fail a lot along the way. But if you can kind of keep fighting through those and just looking at those as learnings, you're going to separate yourself from 99% of the people. So I was kind of like looking at this journey as, right now I'm out 2 miles in the ocean. Most people don't swim here, but get to that 3rd mile, get to that 4th mile, and you keep accumulating these lessons. And then you eventually hit that inflection point where it kind of all comes together. And then one day you just wake up and you're like, whoa, this is starting to come together. It's just most don't want to go to the top of the mountain, because there's going to be some tough trials along the way, if that makes sense.
You remind me of like David Goggins of with the golf academy, because you push past your quit, you get to this inflection point where most people will not be there, whether it's some climbing Mount Everest or going into the 3rd or 4th mile of the ocean. There's less people there. I'm just wondering, in terms of like the mindset, how can someone who's listening and watching here, who has that ambition, who has that intention, who has that plan, but like you said, most people don't get there. How do you help people cross that line, that inflection point? Yeah.
Well, people quit because they see their goal being so far away and they feel disconnected from their goal. Okay. So people quit because they don't see the next step. Like, they're thinking of the goal that's so far away and they're like, how am I ever going to get there? Okay. And they quit because it seems so far away. The key that I always took was, how can you chunk it down? So when I was trying to quit my full-time job while building my business, I thought to myself, you know what? If I drink 65 more cups of coffee, I'm going to get this to the point where I can quit my job. Like, all I got to do is drink 65 cups of coffee. Whenever I'm doing something tough, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hear this voice in my head 20 times saying, quit, 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 quit. All I have to do is have 1/4 of my life where I beat that voice 20 times in a row.
Mm.
So I try to like chunk it down into these little things, because once you get a few wins under your belt, you start to like get that chip on your shoulder and you start to believe a little more. So I would say chunk it down, win the next thing in front of you, and then stack a few of those. Then you're going to start to feel better and you're going to start to get that momentum.
Okay, awesome. Miles just says it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when mentally. And he also says, dang, that mental grit. I think people are impressed of your mental mindset and ability to win. So when we talk about leadership and building, because I mean, I know you have a bigger team as you grew in scale, you've seen some success, you're stacking the wins, all as you mentioned earlier. How do you build, and what does it look like to build a healthy leadership culture where people are not just a means to an end, but you're helping them, create freedom and time? And if people love golf, maybe more golf.
Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done.
Yeah, right.
I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs, because you think of people like maybe they're technical or maybe they're a visionary, but then they have to like become this like really good leader. And like, there's so many different skills you have to juggle. And, it's a challenge for anyone. And I'm not saying I've had it mastered by any means. I think the big thing that I like to do is I like to always try to be the example. So I'll give you like one small example. Like I built out a sales team at Performance Golf, where we sell, these golf experiences where you can go and see one of the world's best coaches. So when that department first started, I took the first 35 phone calls.
What, really?
I closed 27 of them. I spent about 1,000 hours building out a system. I tested all these different strategies, tested them against each other and documented them out. But I wanted to be the example. So when I went and hired someone, I could kind of show them what the standard was. So I'm a big believer in leadership by an example. If you want to lead your department, you should be able to go in at any point in time and kind of show others what the standard is. So it's almost like keep your axe sharp, but stay in the game enough so other people kind of respect you. So that's kind of one of the big areas that I like to look for. It's like, I want to make sure I'm the example to you, because if I am saying something and not doing it, how can I ever expect you to do it and then carry it out amongst your team? So I would say that's probably one of my biggest tenets, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I live, teach, and so that resonates clearly. 27 of 35, Brixton, that is a 77% close rate on a new offer. Insane in the membrane. Yeah. So I want to ask you this, you just circling back to consultative sales, you mentioned there earlier. What does consultative sales look like to you? Because you also spent thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours training and teaching and also selling with your previous software and also with the Performance Golf. What does consultative sales look like for you?
And that's a great question. I would say, before I answer that, if you're trying to develop a skill set when you're younger or at any point in life, it's probably one of the best things you can learn. It's really, consultative sales is being really good at asking someone else other questions to figure out what's most important to them, understanding how they think. So ideally, you can see if you can find alignment with your solution to kind of get them where they want to go. So there's pitching. That's pitching someone. People often say sales is bad. Yeah, I think sales is bad if you just pitch. But if I can go in and understand your situation by asking you some really good questions, understanding what you're looking for, and come up with a solution that we both know can get you to where you want to go, that's consultative sales, in my words.
Perfect.
What do you think? You tell me. You're the sales ninja, man.
It's almost identical. Like I call it permission-based consultative sales. So, even though I'm in Toronto, Canada, and the Great White North, I always think of Southern hospitality. When there's when I'm in Nashville, when I was a pastor, there's like a 6 to 8-year-old kids, and they're so, polite, and they use that Southern hospitality. Sir, would you like another scoop, or would you like another spoon? Like when you ask and you're very polite, I always want to help that person more. So when I say permission-based consultative selling, like you, is find the problem, the pain, helping them move to desires and dreams, but not getting there until we've actually removed the pain or alleviated. How do I remove that slice? How do I break past a 200, 300-yard barrier on my drive because I'm stuck? Like, what is that problem, and how do you answer that? Whether it's a tool, whether it's a training aid, whether it's the new Performance Golf app, cha-ching, or maybe it's a special club that can help me get there. And if and when you solve that problem, I'm going to buy all those things.
Yeah. I think it's really identifying what's important. And sometimes you don't have a solution that can help them. And that's also okay. But I think a lot of it comes down to, what's your intent? and just trying to find something that can help someone get to where they want to go faster. And very grateful, had a great mentor initially that taught me concept sales, and probably one of the best things I think you can learn at any age.
Amen. I want to talk about the future vision and the industry trends. Does AI and technology play a role in golf, whether it's physical equipment and or software? If so, how?
Yeah, another great question. So when you look at golf, and I think when you look at just the world in general, I'm a big believer that people today are so distracted. There's so much out there. So it's beautiful that there's so much out there. But I mean, when you think about what's out there, like you have people texting you, you've got podcasts to listen to, you've got YouTube, you got Instagram, you got TikTok. I mean, you got Netflix. There's so many things that are pulling you in so many directions. So I think the big keys are really understanding what's most important to you. And that often requires you to turn everything off, sit down in a dark room, whatever you got to do, and really think about where you want to go, and then kind of work on one or two right things to get there. It's hard to like be so distracted, not exactly know where you want to go, and then work on a bunch of different things. That's a recipe for disaster. So I think like the big key is less distraction. But I think in the golf space, Jay, like it's very similar. There's so much out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to golfers working on like 15 different things and getting more confused. So AI, with what we're building and where I see the future going, it's going to help you work on the right thing one by one in a very sequential way.
Now, you also, I don't know how new it is, but you launched a new swing app. Is that true? And how does that work?
So it's very similar to what I said. Like you go in there, and we're launching a really huge upgrade to it here, April, which I'm really excited about. But
Nice.
You basically take a video of your swing, and it says, Jay, like, here are your top 5 swing issues. So it tells you things that are off that you need to fix, but it shows you that one right thing you need to work on first. So it kind of simplifies it for you to show you, hey, this is your lead domino. Let's solve this, because when you solve that lead domino, I call it the root flaw.
Mm-hmm.
It fixes 3 other things for you and makes it easier. So that's really the goal. Simplify, with the AI piece.
Amazing. And I know there's so much competition out there and so many people like launching things out. How do you stay relevant and competitive in a place, like you said, that's very distracted? Maybe people call it a red ocean, but other people say red ocean is good because that means there's market message resonance, there's product market fit. How do you compete in a red ocean?
I think the big key first is getting someone that first win. I looked at the example of, if you wanted to go to the gym and get in shape, and you weren't in the gym, and the trainer said, hey, you're going to have to lift 5 days a week. You're going to have to do zone 2 cardio 4 days a week. You're going to have to be at a caloric deficit. You're going to have to eat foods you don't like. You'd overwhelm them.
Yeah.
But with what we do at PG, like our big goal is we've designed products that kind of get you that first win. Get you that first, like you look in the mirror, you work, oh, wow, I'm seeing some progress. Because then your belief starts to build, and then it shifts to, hey, Jay, you got your first win. Here's how you really get your second and third. It's actually working on less, but it's working on the right things in the right order. Here's your next step in the process. Versus the rest of the industry, it's beautiful, but there's so much. There's so much out there. We want to simplify it so you know exactly what the next thing is, but that often comes after you get that first little taste of success where you start to believe in yourself a little bit more.
When you look at the online academy I'm also a student and a paid member, but with the performance golf, which is incredible, it's helped me a ton. And you look at the in-person experience. How do you get your salespeople with consultative selling? Because this is a sales ninja show. How do you get them to sell between one product and another, where obviously the ticket price is a lot higher on the in-person? What is the differentiating factor or the X factor for someone to sell a much higher ticket point, and what is the outcome people can expect?
Yeah, I mean, the in-persons are great because it's like a 2-day intensive where you get to meet with one of the world's best coaches. So I went out when I was a kid, I always wanted to take lessons from some of these best of the best teachers, but my parents couldn't afford it.
Yeah, sure.
So I went out and I created partnerships with these guys to give, the general public the opportunity that I kind of always wished I had as a kid. So, the 2 day intensives are great because they show you that root flaw in person and they actually help you fix it.
Hmm.
So if for someone that's looking to go fast, get faster results, we can kind of tighten the gap there and get you kind of focused. But a lot of times with PG, it's like, how do we meet you where you're at? And I'll give you 2 examples. Like, let's just say I'm a COVID golfer. I just got into golf and I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm shy. Maybe you want to learn with one of our master classes. Maybe you want to study at your house. Maybe I'm a 44-year-old stay-at-home dad. I'm a 44-year-old dad with 2 kids that only plays golf once a month because I have no time. I might want to get a club that makes the game a little easier for me because I can't really go out there and practice as much as I want. So the goal is to meet the person where they're at to get them that first taste of success. And that's what we do. We figure out what's most important to them and then kind of try to guide them to that first solution that's going to, help them get that first win or start to go on the path they want to go down.
Amazing. Andrew has a question from the audience. When you suggested sitting in a dark room, quiet room, how do you avoid the media advertising noise when you're working in the work environment?
Realize that 99.9% of people are distracted. Realize that you're never going to be the most talented, but you control if you're distracted or not, and just decide you're not going to do it. I always tell people, take the mental edge personally. You should dominate the mental space because I'm never going to be the strongest guy, the fastest, the best, but why can't I win the mental game? I control that. So I would say realize you can get ahead of almost everyone if you're just not distracted.
Now, here's a couple of golf questions before we end.
Yeah,
Because,
sure.
I've been watching your videos and I noticed that you don't take it far back as most people.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I'm a small guy. I'm only 5'6". I'm 150. I would go to the simulator every week, and I can't seem to hit past 240, 250, but dispersion is 7% ish. So I'm pretty good. I have a 16.2 handicap. My friend is a 10, and I've been beating him in the last 2 or 3 rounds. So he said, you're probably playing like a 10, but your handicap hasn't caught up. How do I, he's hitting at 300 yards on average, but he gets out of bounds because he runs out of runway. How does someone like me increase distance? I know that's a PG Academy thing and an in-person thing, but just for all the hackers out there like myself.
Well, I mean, how do you feel, by the way, beating your friend? That's got to make you feel pretty good.
It's unbelievable because him at 10 and me at 16 and his distances are incredible. It's just I keep it in the fairway and my chipping and short game is quite good. So that's what's beating him, I think. So it feels amazing. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a number of things to look at with your driver. I mean, there's probably an opportunity to pick up 15 to 20 yards with your driver. A lot of times that can be done through just optimizing your launch angle. Like I tell people, your attack angle. I tell people, if you're hitting your driver and you're swinging 2 degrees down versus 2 degrees up, that might be 15 yards for you right there.
If you hit it down versus up, it's more or less?
So your irons, you're kind of hitting on a more of a descending blow.
Right. I gotcha.
Your drivers, you're hitting a little more in the upswing. So I tell people the first thing we could often look at is what's your attack angle? And if I see guys that have a -3 degree attack angle, you take it to +2, +3, right there, they pick up 15, 25 yards. So that could be it. So we would look at that, but we would really look at your swing and say, hey, what are your swing flaws? But what's the one thing you need to work on? So we kind of identify that root flaw, right? And I'm sure there's probably an extra 10 to 20 yards that you could pick up. Performance Golf, we're launching a really cool speed trainer here in a month or 2. That's something you could swing at your house.
I want it.
That's coming. But, the question I would ask you is gaining distance your biggest opportunity, or is there another opportunity? Because, you're probably never, Jay, going to be the longest hitter.
Right.
That might be a little out of your control. I think there are some quick wins.
Yeah.
But what can we control? What other parts of your game could we get better?
Yeah, my long irons after 6 irons, so 5, 4, 3, hybrid 3 wood are almost non-existent for me.
Yeah, so that's an opportunity. I mean, how's your putting? There's no reason why. Is it good? Did I lose you there? How's your putting?
Putting's pretty good. Well, it's not great. I probably average 2 and a bit on putts.
Yeah. So if you're 2 putting every green, I mean, a 16 handicap, there's no reason why you couldn't have, again, you're not going to be the strongest. You're not going to gain you're not going to be 5 inches taller tomorrow all of a sudden, but there's no reason why you couldn't have 28, 30 putts around. I mean, the putting stroke is like this long. So we would look for your quick win with your driver, but I guarantee you there's 2 or 3 other areas if you got better at, and they're way more within your control than growing, 4 to 5 inches and getting, longer or stronger all of a sudden.
Good point. That's very helpful. I'm looking forward to the speed trainer in next month, you said?
Yeah, we have this new training aid coming out. It's, I'll give you an example. I used it the other day. We did a video shoot, and within six swings of using it, and we did it on the Foresight, a $20,000 machine.
Yeah.
In 6 swings of using it, I gained 7 miles per hour at club head speed.
That's insane.
So, there could be some club speed opportunities, but it's no one's done a training aid like this before. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. It's one of those things you're going to be able to warm up with, but it trains speed and accuracy at the same time. A lot of training aids just train speed, and then you start killing it, but you're hitting it all over. This does both in a really unique way, which I'm really excited about.
Does it get tracked in an app by any chance?
We're not that techie with it, but that might be like a phase 2. Actually, I lied. Okay. So I apologize. I don't like to lie.
Yeah.
But our app can actually track how fast you're swinging with the new update coming soon.
Really?
You'll be able to see like, hey, that swing versus this swing, how much faster did I swing?
Like it'll give you your swing speed and ball speed, that kind of thing?
Swing speed initially, ball speed coming soon, which is exciting.
So it's kind of like your own monitor, your own launch monitor.
That's where things are going. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So one more last section, and then we're going to lightning round, and I'll let you go.
Okay,
so
cool.
Because I was a former pastor and man of faith, and whether you are or you're not, people have either faith or self-belief, purpose, and kind of like a vision for where they want to take their businesses. How does faith or self-belief influence the way you grow your business and lead your team?
Man, I almost don't even want to answer because it's like such a question that I need to think about.
It's deep, right?
I mean,
because you do it so well. I don't know if you're in the Philippines or where you were, but you're all over the place. But you lead a team, and people love you. They clap for you, they cheer for you, and you cheer your team on. And I see that you're creating this incredible, healthy leadership environment. Obviously, no one's perfect. Yeah. But when you see that energy, that we call it sales energy, and that leadership energy, it's like there's not many good leaders out there that people can follow. You know what I'm saying? So you're one of those.
I try. Well, and that's very kind of you to say. And like I said, I have a lot to still grow and figure out. Like I'm a project in myself in itself in a lot of ways. I think the thing that I like to look at PG is I tell people on my sales team all the time, if you work on yourself with really clear intent. So what does that mean? I hear a lot of sales guys say, hey, I'm working on my discovery. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'm just trying to ask some better questions. Well, how are you practicing that? Well, I kind of think about it. They give me these vague answers, right? There's no clear plan. It's like they're telling me they're going to the West Coast, but I'm like, wait, you're flying on a plane. You just tell the pilot you're going west? No, you tell them you're going to LAX Terminal 2, Gate 2. Like, let's get specific. So I tell people the key to working here and being successful is we need to know what you're working on to get better. So if you're a sales rep, I want you to be specific, saying, I'm working on my discovery. This is how I practice it strategically, 10 minutes a day. I review one call every day. After that call, I re-practice for 5 minutes, and I'm going to master this by this date. If you get strategic and you're willing to work on the right thing and work on yourself, you will love working at PG. Because if you're willing to grow, we're a company that's going to grow with you. If you're going to be loose, like the first person I shared, and you're not going to work on yourself, you're probably going to get replaced over time. So I just like to be very upfront by saying, you work on yourself, I promise you we'll grow with you and give you a lot of opportunities. You don't work on yourself? Hey, I warned you. Someone else is going to come from behind, kind of like the guy they just drafted in the NFL that's in your position, that's hungrier. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to work with people that I want to go shoulder to shoulder with, that I can give a bear hug and say, hey, I'm just proud of you for putting the work in, and we're going to keep growing together. And I like to work with people that I would want to go to battle with. That's kind of the way that I look at it. So I would say like just trying to be clear on that and getting everyone working on the right thing with really clear intention, I think is probably one of the better parts of our culture at PG.
Now, this is maybe a question that you have not been asked in anywhere, but let's say we take a time machine and we go 100 years into the future, and obviously things are not the way they used to be, and we're not even here left. What does success and legacy look like in terms of what you left, from 100 years of, past what you're doing now?
That's a great question. Oh my gosh. I think for me, like on the golf side, I mean, obviously there's different things on the personal side, but my goal on the golf side is I want to create the world's smartest way to learn how to play golf. Because golfers, if you're playing as a 23 handicap versus an 8 handicap, you're having a lot more fun when you're playing to your potential. So I want to have the smartest way to learn how to play golf. And if you're not using it, it would almost be equivalent of you not shopping on Amazon and be like, what are you doing? So my mission is create the world's smartest way to learn how to play golf so people can reach their potential. So when they're out there playing golf, you can just love your game and just soak it in. Like, when you're playing bad, you're like in your head, but when you're playing great, you're like feeling the nature. You're talking to your buddy. You're having more fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm going for. But man, 100 years out is pretty far.
It is. How about personally?
Man, honestly, I don't have a good answer. I have nothing for that. Okay. I mean, I think I think like for me personally, I would love to be on my deathbed one day and be able to raise my fist in the air and just say, man, I gave it my all and I turned every stone. Like I have this picture of like me, maybe on my deathbed and just be able to put my fist in the air and be like, I turned every stone. I left it all out there. I didn't hold back. If I saw it, I went for it. I explored every opportunity. And I think that if I accomplish that, I'll kind of like live to my potential.
Do you know how many people you have impacted in this? Like in terms of like the people that went through your school and your academy and your in-person.
No, I mean, I know how many customers we've had. We're approaching about 1 million customers, which is pretty cool. I mean, obviously, not everyone's going to be the biggest success story in the world. People are going to have different levels of success, but there's numbers that we're trying to hit, over time with a couple million.
Yeah,
and I think as our system gets smarter and smarter, we'll be able to manufacture more and more of those, which is, you can't put a dollar amount on that. Like you get an email from a guy that's like 85, and he's like, I'm out here playing well. I'm beating my friend who's 56. Like
that's all. Yeah. What more could you ask for?
That's what it's all about to me.
We have a lightning round to ask a couple of questions before we let you go. And these are just questions that you just at the top of your head. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? So
you ask great questions, man. I appreciate the questions that like stop me in my tracks. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, they're deep. So thank you for taking the time to think through them. So lightning round is just a bunch of questions, and just what's one habit that's made the biggest difference in your performance? Because you're huge on mindset and getting goals and getting them done. What's one habit that has made the biggest difference in your performance?
Jeez, man, you're killing me. You
probably have a lot, but
yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just really just. I would say for me, one habit. I think the biggest habit for me was getting clear on my why. Because if you're not clear on your why, you're always going to question why you're doing things. And if you're clear on your why, whenever you're having difficult moments, you always anchor back to that. And you never want to stop. Like you just realize that's why I'm going to keep going. So I would say getting clear on my why has been something that's carried me on the most.
Amazing. And how do you keep success from becoming an identity? Because sometimes we link, all this amazing success of building this 9-figure empire. But what if everything fell through and nothing worked? Like, how do you keep yourself from attaching yourself from your success with your identity?
Well, I always take the approach that I'm in last. So I try to like not think I'm successful. And I kind of always look at it as like I'm in build mode. But I would say, it is sometimes easy to get your whole identity wrapped up into what you're doing. And I would say that's why I try to be aware of that and look at what are other things. Like I want to be more than just a business guy, but I would say that is a very difficult challenge, especially when you get so absorbed in it and something that, I've struggled with over time, but it's something you have to be aware of.
Amazing. Last question is, because my whole motto is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty by helping them to sell more, to give more, which as a pastor, I didn't have much. I struggled financially, but being able to have that superpower of sales helps you to sell more so that you can give more to passion projects, build orphanages, help free people from trafficking, et cetera, et cetera. What does sell more to give more mean to you personally?
There's so many people along the way that helped me, and whenever I reflect back, there's just so much gratitude for that person that carved the path. Maybe it was my dad showing me what a work ethic was before I knew what a work ethic meant. Maybe it was my first golf coach that gave me some free lessons. Maybe it was that one person that invested in me and they told me at a young age when I didn't believe it, I see something in you. So it's really, how do you give back and try to do that for others? And I would say that's, it's just important, because I look at, if I didn't have some of those people, it would have never helped me accelerate. And those people helped me kind of start on their shoulders. And I would love to take all these lessons that I've learned, all these things that I learned through maybe going too fast, doing too much, trying to juggle too much, to someday, and along the way to be able to show others some things I learned so they can maybe do a little bit better.
Amazing. So there you have it, guys. Go to performancegolf.com. And if you guys want to upload your swing and receive focused feedback, follow the link below. Thank you again, Brixton, for your valuable time. And thanks everyone for tuning into the Sales Ninja Show podcast. And I want you to go apply what you learned here today from Brixton. He is a master at the mindset and getting things done. Apply that consultative selling to help your next sales conversation and practice leading with clarity, calm, and service. And if you're ready to master faith-driven sales psychology and close high-ticket deals with integrity, head over to gosalesninja.com, join the free training. We're here to help you sell with confidence and serve from a place of purpose. Remember, your work is stewardship. Keep your eyes and stay faithful in the small steps, and you'll see in the next episodes how you can sell more to give more. Brixton, appreciate you. You're amazing. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Jay. I enjoyed it.
Okay, take care, guys.
Bye.
Massive.